And now on the line is Mags Rogers. Mags is the Chief Executive of the Neurological Alliance of Ireland. Mags, welcome to Neuro FM.
Thank you, Darren.
Okay, Mags, I read an article today on the Dublin People Media Group website, that's the newspapers on the north side and the south side people in Dublin, about a series of meetings yourselves have been organising and have in the next few weeks. And specifically what made me get in touch with you was your calls for North Dublin. Mags, can you tell me more about this series of public meetings you have and about your calls for North Dublin in particular?
No problem at all, Darren. And look, thank you so much for providing the opportunity to highlight this important issue for people throughout North Dublin, because I think it's something maybe people aren't aware of. So what we're calling for and what we're highlighting is the continued lack of a community neurorehabilitation team throughout North Dublin. Now, that's quite a mouthful, a community neurorehabilitation team. But what it essentially means, it's a specialist team for people with neurological conditions. So that's like anything from multiple sclerosis to Parkinson's disease, stroke, brain injury, people living with these conditions, people being discharged from hospital. This team provides them with specialist physiotherapy, occupational therapy, speech and language therapy, psychology, all in the one place. And I can't stress how critical it is. We heard at that online meeting, as Darren, as you mentioned, we heard from survivors of acquired brain injury who were discharged from hospital and really didn't know where to turn for support. And it was really only down the line, much further down their journey, that they got those specialist services that they needed. And really it is that critical time when people are being discharged from hospital, people already living in the community with these neurological conditions, they really need access to those specialist therapies when they need them, not months and months down the line.
Okay, Max, can you tell me more about the series of meetings you have?
No problem at all. So the meeting that we held this week was just the kick-off, was just the first in a series of meetings, because it's not only North Dublin, there are also other areas of the country that don't have access to these teams. And what we really have, and you hear the term so often, but it really is a case of a postcode lottery. So just to take Dublin, for example, people in other areas of Dublin City and County will have access to a neurorehabilitation team. There are teams coming on board later on this year, but we still have no funding for the North Dublin team. In addition, other areas of the country like the South East, the Midlands and the North West of the country don't have access to a community neurorehabilitation team. And what we're calling for through these online meetings is for the government to address this in the budget coming up in October. Because we can't have a situation where, depending on where you live around the country, you can or cannot access services that are really vital for these people's recovery and living well with what's often a devastating neurological diagnosis.
In Neuro FM, Mags covers, I don't know if you know this, covers the northeast Dublin city area. Am I right in saying that in Dublin, the majority of Dublin is covered by these teams? It's just some areas, particularly kind of, for example, North Dublin, who isn't?
North Centre and North Dublin is not covered currently by a community neurorehabilitation team. Now, there are teams coming on board, as say for Dublin West and Dublin South later on this year over the coming months. So there really is that unfair situation coming up where North Dublin still isn't even off the starting block. It still doesn't even have the funding required to establish that team. And we're really calling in this year's budget for that inequity to be resolved. The current programme for government includes a commitment to roll out the remaining community neurorehabilitation teams across the country, which includes North Dublin. So really people in North Dublin are very much entitled to have this team on their doorstep where they need it. And what we have is the situation, there are major hospitals in this North Dublin area and centre of Dublin, the likes of the Mater Hospital, the likes of Beaumont Hospital, and the minimum they should have is a community neurorehabilitation team for people being discharged from those hospitals.
Okay, will we have to wait until the budget is announced, or can there be change in the meantime? I'm talking about in the North Dublin, the areas that haven't got the teams.
I think we really need to have a strong call, because the funding is not in place, and the funding needs to be dedicated through the upcoming budget. That needs to be secured in the upcoming budget. Funding for teams in other parts of Dublin has been secured in previous budgets. And as I say, we will be doing everything in the Neurological Alliance. We're the national umbrella of 40 neurological charities, and we will be sending this strong message to government over the coming months that we really need to see the investment in this year's budget.